Good Sunday morning, everybody. This is the Iceman here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel. Yeah, we had a snowstorm last night, so we got like a 3.5 inches of snow here. I'm out in Portland right now, visiting my sister Matt, Cassidy, and Alyssa. Although Cass don't live here no more. But anyway, glory days of wrestling. I'm going to talk about my glory days of wrestling, and you guys can let me know what your glory days were because a lot of us are in different age groups, so we grew up in different eras. And of course, the older we are, the more different eras we went through. And I remember starting out watching the old WWF, and back at the time, Vince McMahon Sr. was running it, and it was okay. Bruno Sammartino had the belt for like 8 years, or pretty damn close, it seemed like. Bob Backlund had the title for quite some time. Pedro Morales was an Intercontinental Champion for a real long time. So the belts really rarely ever changed. And when they did, they were usually at the Philadelphia Spectrum, which I don't even believe exists anymore, or at Madison Square Garden, the biggest name on the East Coast, basically, for an arena. But that's where the matches, if any title took place, they usually happened at either one of the two venues. But it was like when you watched it on TV, you pretty much knew no titles were going to change. So shortly thereafter, there were territorial uh, promotions, and once cable started to find its way into the area, I started watching NWA wrestling, and it was like from down south, and it was the Dusty Rhodes and the Ric Flairs and the Stings and Lex Lugers and Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA. That wrestling to me was my glory days because I got hooked on that. I got hooked on the personalities, the charisma. There was a lot of action. You talk about storylines, these began the storylines. And every Saturday, I'd watch this stuff. And I could not wait for the following week because it always left you with something to want more. Or it left you with like a cliffhanger that you couldn't wait for the following week. So NWA wrestling to me was my glory days. And then other wrestling started, to develop or to come on TV, so to speak. I mean, I watched American Wrestling Alliance. I just couldn't get into it. You had Nick Bockwinkel, you had Jerry the King Lawler, you had the very young Kurt Hennig. Hulk Hogan was there at one point, Ray the Crippler Stevens, um, Greg Valentine, and all these guys kept floating through the promotions, different promotions. Uh, but and then WWF became WWF, and you know, I guess Vince had a vision. Vince McMahon had a vision, and he decided he wanted more than what his dad was doing. So they stripped Bob Backlund of the title, gave it to the Iron Sheik, because they had plans on bringing a beast, a giant by the name of Hulk Hogan in. And once they did that, things changed. For the WWF, this was the glory days because once Hulk Hogan took over and Hulkamania took over, it started a whole new realm of wrestling. WrestleMania began, and then they gave NWA, which was going to be bought out by Ted Turner, a run for its money. It became WCW. And we all know the history behind WCW and WWE. Um, but to me, the glory days were prior to all this happening. Because if you were around to watch the NWA back when I'm talking about Dusty Rhodes and the original Four Horsemen of Ole and Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and Tully Blanchard, and you had Valet's Precious, which gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, and you had Baby Doll, and there was numerous others. Missy Hyatt came and went. This was when wrestling, I mean, they kept you enticed. They made you leave watching it wanting more. You could not wait for that next week. So, I mean, everybody grows up in a different era. There's a lot of younger fans of wrestling nowadays and only know the WWE. Um, TNA was another beginning of a glory day in my eyes. When they first got going, a lot of people didn't think it was going to make it. It should have made it bigger and further than what it did, but finances really fell through between Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter and Panda Energy. Nobody wanted to really step up and really finance this. And there was one point TNA had such a great roster. They put on great shows. They were more, other than the NWA, TNA really got me back involved and really wanting to watch wrestling. Now, between 2000 and about 2008, I really loved the WWE. I mean, that's when I got back into it. Um, that was an era for me. That was glory days for me. Back when Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold, Jericho, and Eddie Guerrero joined WWE, Kurt Angle, um, phenomenal matches. And then in comes Edge and Christian a little later on. Um, that was phenomenal for me. So the WWE had about 8 years in a span that I was really enticed to that because I loved the feud between Vince and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um, but after that, it was, far and few between of really, really great matches. I can name some, but it wasn't the same. So the NWA in the early days, um, while WWF or WWF was around, was my glory days. And then from 2000 2008 with WWE was, and then TNA in the middle years also were glory days for me. So give me your thoughts, give me your opinions. Tell me what were your glory days. Whether you're young, whether you're old. See what we have in common, or maybe we won't have anything in common at all. This is the Iceman, everybody, on this Sunday, weathering out another snowstorm here in the Northeast. Peace out. Have yourself a great day.